Hello everyone, welcome in or welcome back to my channel. Thank you for sharing your time and energy with me today and supporting me in this work that I do. My name is Amanda and today we have a pick a card reading all about what lies in the shadows. So in each of these piles from the Moonology Messages Oracle deck, we are going to uncover what's not seen on the surface so that you are empowered with knowledge and a deeper connection to yourself. This will hopefully help you move from a place of understanding rather than the unknown. And these shadow aspects can be anything from what lies within our subconscious that we're not quite aware of, or it could be events, people, or situations that we need to focus on a little bit more at this time. Now, because we're talking about the shadow aspects of our lives and ourselves, as well as what's not seen, note that some of these messages might go very deep and could possibly be a little triggering for some, so that's just a little bit of warning before you hop into the reading today. Remember to please take whatever messages are aligning and confirming for you, and kindly leave the rest for someone else. So if you're ready to get into the reading, you can find the timestamp for the reading of your choice in the description box or pinned comment section. However, if you'd like me to introduce you to the soul paths, let me do that now. For Soul Path 1, we have Truth with the smoky quartz. For Soul Path 2, we have Strength with the peach moonstone. And for Soul Path 3, we have Face Your Fears with the Caribbean calcite stone. So when you are ready, use your intuition to choose the soul path that is calling to you the most. Then click on the timestamp in the description or pinned comments to skip to your reading, and we will see you over there. Hello, Pile 1, welcome to your reading. So you chose the Truth card with the smoky quartz. This card, there's a lot of honesty here. The moon can't be anything that it's not. It can't shine brighter than it wants. It can't be a different shape. It is what it is what I'm hearing. So there might be a situation in your life where I feel like you're hoping or wishing that something's changing or it will change. But the truth of the matter is kind of the feeling that I'm getting is that either it won't change or it will be what it will be. So there's almost you coming to some kind of truth or having a reality check about something, or you really coming to a radical acceptance of the truth, whether that be about yourself or a certain situation. I'm feeling a resistance to change something for it to be something else, but the truth is that it can't be changed. So there's an acceptance of that truth and being honest with yourself about what it is that you need and why you need to or feel the need to change that thing. This could also be that a truth will come to the surface at some point from somebody else, so you will be receiving some kind of truthful acknowledgement or truthful confession, and that doesn't have to be negative. It could even be something positive where somebody is sharing their love for you, their secret love for you. You could have a secret admirer. You could also understand something about somebody. I'm getting a couple of messages here where there's some that have a secret admirer, there's some that need to share their truth with their partner about something, and then there are others of you who are coming to some kind of truth about somebody that they put up on a pedestal, like it was their hero, whoever their hero is, whether that is one of their parents, whether that is one of their friends or mentors, or their inspiration, something that they are inspired by or holds somebody in high esteem. There's something that brings them back down to earth. And again, that doesn't have to be a negative thing, but there's almost a humility that is coming through where you're seeing this person as a human being rather than somebody who is perfect. So that's a really interesting message there. But eventually, whatever truth that you're looking for, whatever answers you're looking for, I feel will be revealed in due time. But there's also a requirement for you to accept whatever that truth is, whether that be about yourself or someone else. So let's get another card here. Spirit, could we get another card for pile? Thank you. Pile 1 here. So we have memories of love with the number 6. I think this might have to do with something or somebody from your past, something from your childhood. So again, I'm getting that parental connection where you're starting to see the humanity of your parents. There's also a feeling of being able to forgive somebody. That is for some of you, not all of you, but again, coming to receiving some kind of message, receiving some kind of truth, or some heartfelt confession. But definitely something or somebody that you had a heartfelt connection with that I feel you're going to be hearing the truth from. It doesn't have to be romantic, although it could be, but this could even be friendship as well. And so my question to you might be, what is your truth about the situation, about the person? There could even be somebody who betrayed you in the past. We'll get clarifiers now with the tarot. But how will you receive their confession, their apology, their truth? Or even how will you accept your own truth about yourself, about the situation? So we have the Two of Pentacles, the Hierophant, and the Two of Pentacles, the Hierophant, the Sun in reverse, and the Ace of Pentacles. With the Devil on the bottom, in reverse. So the bottom of the deck can speak to things within our, that are just outside of our awareness. Could be our subconscious, it could be things that we're unaware of, or things that are hidden. I feel like there is a situation or a person that has really held you back to some degree, that you are moving away from or stepping away from. And I'm being called to ask you about those habits, those thoughts, those beliefs about yourself that make you feel small or disempowered. And again, that could be people, that could be your own beliefs and thoughts about yourself and who you are. But there's a feeling here that you might have a certain perception of yourself that is untrue. And that could be because of a past experience or people that you were once connected with. Maybe you ran with a crowd that wasn't good for you, or that got you in trouble, but there's definitely a feeling here of you being held back to some degree, and maybe even having fond memories of this person or situation, which may be difficult for you to let go of, or has been up until this point. But I feel you're at the place now where you're no longer wanting to participate and feed that fire, because you're realizing maybe your own truth within the situation. That maybe you don't want to be this person, or you don't want to do that. And so instead of saying yes to the things that you're really saying no to, or saying, I like this when I really don't, you're now coming to your own sense of truth of what is best for you, what it is that you want, and really aligning yourself with that. Because I feel for maybe some time you have been shifting between an external you that you show to your friends, and there's an internal you that is a little bit different, that you hold very closely. There may be a fear of being judged, but I feel you're really coming to understand yourself a little bit more, And you're kind of doing your best with what you have, with what you know, with what you understand. And so there's a new opportunity to do differently here. You know, if we don't like the garden that we've planted, we can always rip it up and start over again and plant new seeds based on who we are in this moment versus who we were. And I almost feel like that's what lies in the shadows for you, is that you may not realize how much you've changed. And so it's not knowing and seeing that change within you that is keeping you maybe stuck in the past and keeping you stuck around certain people or in certain situations because you feel you haven't changed. But underneath, I do feel like there's some kind of misalignment. And with the Two of Pentacles, it's like you're trying to keep this going because this has been a bit of the status quo for some time. So you don't want to upset the apple cart and start making new decisions because it could upset people, it could disappoint people. And I feel you don't want to do that. You want to keep things on the up and up, and you don't want to be disappointing, or maybe even disappointed. I do get a touch of a people pleaser aspect here, but that's going to be for some of you, not all of you. And that could be the thing that is holding you back or keeping you in this past energy, is that you have almost done some work to manage that people pleasing. And because you now have this higher knowledge of yourself, it's like it's time to implement what you've learned. It's time to put the work in to create this new garden based on what you understand. And almost maybe rebuilding your confidence back to a degree. And with the sun in reverse, I almost get sunset. So it's like you're sunsetting something, you're putting something to bed. And what's interesting, and this is all about the shadow, and the sun is in the reverse position. So I feel like that almost is a little bit of confirmation that we're talking about some shadow aspect of yourself that has some ties to the past of who you were that you really don't like. So you have suppressed it for a really long time and have done your best to almost keep why do I hear the wheels on the bus? Or you're trying to keep things even keel or status quo, or you're trying to keep the facade going that you are still the same person when I feel that you are not. So there almost needs to be a detachment of who you once were and a welcoming of who you are and who you are becoming. Because that's what I feel this Ace of Pentacles is. It's this acceptance of this new opportunity. And because we started with the Two of Pentacles and we ended with the Ace of Pentacles, it's like you're dropping a pentacle. You're dropping that pentacle that you no longer find value in, that you no longer believe in. And it is almost less than in your eyes because it's not as satisfying, it's not as fulfilling. It doesn't have the same flavor as it once did. So, not to say that it's a bad thing. It's just, I feel you've outgrown it. So now you're taking this new pentacle. This is who I am now, and this is what I believe. And I've done a lot of soul searching. I've done a lot of work on myself. I have understood things on a new level. And yes, I might have some fears about disappointing people, about even disappointing myself, but I have to step into this energy of who I am now, because maybe you've done some healing, maybe you have done some forgiveness, but I still feel you've got one foot in the old and one foot in the new. So that's what that Two of Pentacles is telling me there. So it's coming to that truth. And maybe that needs a little bit of exploration on your part, is who you once were and who you are becoming, or who you are now. Maybe doing a bit of a comparison to see how much you've grown, because I think that's what lies in the shadows, is you don't see how much you've grown. You don't see how much healing you've done. You feel like that you need to do more. It's not enough, it's not enough, it's not enough, is what I'm hearing, which could be why the sun is in reverse. It's like you're never satisfied with the amount of growth that you're seeing within yourself, if you're seeing it at all. So you're constantly pushing to do more, and you have a very commitment. You have a commitment to this, which is wonderful and beautiful. but don't forget to stop and really appreciate how far you've come and know that where you are now is enough. So let's get clarifier for the Two of Pentacles, the Chariot. So this can be about conscious and subconscious coming together in order for you to go straight down the middle rather than be pulled in one direction or another. And what's interesting is that the Two of Pentacles has a similar energy where you're trying to keep things going down the center. And I feel like you've done a really good job, but this isn't sustainable. Whereas the Chariot is sustainable because instead of trying to maintain both of them at the same time, you're now understanding how to move between the two, because this Chariot has the reins between the two. And so there's more stability there when both of these, the subconscious and the conscious, come together and understand each other, speak to each other. You can move in the direction that you want to go with confidence, with possibly great speed, and victory. When one of those things are off, where the subconscious is driving the bus, we have a potential to become out of control when we don't understand what our subconscious is kind of doing on our behalf. It's kind of guiding us in ways that we wouldn't necessarily, to places we wouldn't necessarily want to go. And it affects our conscious actions, our subconscious beliefs, and our subconscious thoughts. So as soon as we understand that, we can better get a hold of the reins. And so I feel like that's part of the advice, is to bring that into balance a little. And rather than focusing on a specific outcome or specific results, it's all about talking to the different parts of ourselves and understanding, okay, this is where I want to go. And what are the blockages, the obstacles, the feelings or beliefs that are preventing me from getting there? And that could be part of this devil energy as well, where if we don't have self-worth, or if we don't have the confidence to say no or to stand up for what we want to people in our lives, then we end up in a place that we don't recognize or that doesn't feel aligned. The Hierophant, let's clarify the Hierophant. Okay, so we have Two of Swords, which is a bit of a crossroads energy. I think that when you came to, and we have another moon here, I think that when you came to this realization, that's when you started searching for answers. You started using your intuition a little more, possibly, because there was almost some conscious awareness that started to happen or will happen that helps you understand that I'm being pulled in two different directions and both of them feel right. So which one do I choose? And again, I get this feeling of you being between two truths, or at least the past or the old and the new, and not knowing which one is right. So it's like, well, do I stay in the familiar, what I've done for so many years, or do I step into something new where I can start expanding and growing in ways that might be a little uncomfortable, but might help my overall direction in life, or might help my overall goals become reality? And so for this to really happen, you have to step away from the things that are distracting you. And you may not discover answers right away, but it's continuing to question what is most aligned to my highest self, what intuitively feels right for me at this time. And I feel like there's almost this battle of intuition and logic. Sun in reverse. The Three of Pentacles in reverse. There may have been a situation in your past that made you feel less than. That could be people you worked with. That could be in your family unit, where things were a little out of sorts, or maybe a little disharmonious. So instead of internalizing all of this, are there things that you can let go of at this time? What is the truth of those situations, of those experiences that you've had that maybe affected or encouraged you to become a people pleaser, or encouraged you to have certain thoughts or beliefs about yourself that made you feel like you had to be perfect, or you had to know where you're going at all times. And with the Three of Pentacles, I'm still getting that message of it's not good enough. So I don't know where that's coming from, but I feel like that's just part of a clarification there. Let's see what this opportunity, or Ace of Pentacles, is about. Ace of Pentacles. The Empress in reverse. So the opportunity is to offer yourself the care that you offer to others. To connect in with those intuitive nudges. To have patience. It's going to be so important. Patience with yourself. Patience with the unfolding. Because the Pentacle energy is very slowish energy, and it is three-dimensional, and it takes a while for our manifestations to become real. Because things in the universe, things within ourselves have to change in order for that to manifest in the three-dimensional world. We plant a seed, we do not see the fruits of that seed the next day. We have to continue to show up and nurture that seed. We have to spend time watering it, making sure it has enough light, making sure it has enough nutrients, and continually fostering that seed until it starts to sprout and grow. So I feel like that's part of this process here, is to turn that care on yourself for a time, to be able to hear your intuition, to be able to care for and heal from the things of your past, to remove yourself from distracting energy and situations that might not be aligned to your highest good. And so your intuition might be a big part of this shadow, where because you have shown up for other people so much that you no longer are connected with your inner voice. You're no longer connected in with what you want to create in your life. You might be caretaking for others, and that could be for a good reason and out of necessity, so I don't want to discount that. But for some of you, I feel like it is a choice. I'm getting enabling energy here, where you might be very empathic, you might be very sensitive, and you want to make sure that everybody around you is safe and healthy and happy, which is a beautiful thing, but healthy boundaries need to be in place in order to protect your energy as well, the things that you want for your life. And so there are some questions that you could ask yourself. You're welcome to write these down. Where am I feeling like I'm doing too much and doing too much for others? What beliefs or values that I have about myself or my life are impacting the dreams that I have? And I'll give you one more question. What experiences or people am I holding on to from the past that I feel I have outgrown, but maybe fearful to let them go? How can I better align myself with this truth? So let's get some final messages for you to end your reading. Spirit, please, for Soul Path 1. For Soul Path 1. So I do feel we have Mystic Healer here. Healing energy flows through you. So I do feel like once a truth is revealed, that there will be some healing from this truth. There will be some healing from exploring these shadow parts of yourself. And I want to say, do not be shamed. This is not meant to shame you. This is meant to empower you. So I feel like because of your empathy, because of your sensitivity, you would make a great healer. to some capacity because you've experienced things and have felt things that could help others. So consider that. And with the owl here, owls are connected to our higher wisdom. The Hierophant here can be considered that higher power, that wiser power, our higher self, and the self that knows what's best for us. But it's our limitations within our mind and within our own belief system that prevents us from reaching that or obtaining that or blocks us. So I feel tapping into your intuition and your own higher power will really help bring some things to the surface and help you heal something, help you transmute something, possibly from the past. There is an underlying truth that needs to be radically accepted so that you can heal and move on from. And so that you can plant new seeds and avoid these things from happening again. And this does not include situations that are out of your control or that you have or had no choice in. But I feel like there is some healing that can be done within all situations. Now, if I might be so bold to say that we cannot let these truths or these things that lie in our shadows to control our lives and define our lives. So that is kind of the underlying message of this entire reading, is to heal or to at least come to some understanding about yourself or a situation, your subconscious beliefs, so that it no longer has control or power over you. We're taking that power back. Navigating by the stars, follow your bliss. So what's interesting is that we have the moon here too, but it's also nighttime. So I feel like whatever this situation or this truth is connected to, I feel like you might have been in the dark, where you've had to lean on your inner light, or you feel like you've been in this shadow for your entire life. You've been in the dark your entire life. You haven't seen any healing or hope or faith in the midst of this. But I feel like there is opportunity for you to do differently here, for you to take a moment out from maybe the everyday, or to even find somebody of higher power or higher knowledge to be able to help you through this. Especially if you're feeling at a crossroads and you don't know what to do or how to move yourself out of it, or you're feeling stuck. The Hierophant can speak to counselors, therapists, communities, support groups, etc. that can really help you move through this and find that support that you need to elevate you, to lift you up. So I do think there's opportunity for that, but this is a radical acceptance of the truth so that you can heal and move on from. And also too, there is a call for you to navigate by looking at your own light, by looking at the things that really bring you joy. And they can be the small things like your morning coffee, or petting your cat, or going for a daily walk, or sitting under a tree. Whatever it may be, follow those a little more often, as much as you can. And I feel that will slowly start to change your three-dimensional world and maybe your internal world as well, or at least help you find yourself again, maybe even help you uncover the truth. So, my Soul Path 1, I hope you found some clarity and guidance today. If you'd like a personal reading, you can find the link for that in the description. And with gratitude, I'm sending you my love, and we'll see you in your next reading. Hello, Soul Path 2, welcome to your reading. So you chose the Strength card with the Peach Moonstone. I feel like you're being called out by the universe to step into your power. Maybe you're feeling less than and are moving into a period of strength, or want to take your confidence or your strength back in some regard. It's almost time for you to step into the light. Maybe the spotlight for some, but this is for you to step up. Because maybe you feel like you've been playing small or you've felt small. So it's now time to step into your strength, step into your confidence, step into your ability. And don't sell yourself short. And don't try to convince yourself that you don't have confidence and strength and abilities and gifts and have value. This is a time to counter all of that. And I feel that those thoughts are not only lying in the shadows, but are keeping you from this strength. And think about times in your past where you moved through big challenges. Doing those things made you stronger to some degree. They made you more resilient. It might not have been the best situations, but most times in life, we become who we are. We find our strength, our power, our resilience from those challenging situations, from those things that offer us resistance, from those tensions. This is about being bold, being so confident in yourself, having such a strong belief in yourself, but not arrogant, that you can achieve the things that you've always wanted to achieve. So, are there areas in your life where you don't feel strong? Where you don't feel confident, where you don't feel like you can be bold and take those big, bold actions? So let's take a look at one more opening card from Spirit. Spirit, could we get one card for Soul Path 2, please? Okay, so this tells me that there could be some of you here that are not speaking up, that are not using your voice, there's a part of you that's being suppressed. You're not communicating something that you feel within your heart. There is fear here. There is fear of speaking up. There is fear of saying the wrong thing. And there may be a tension with that within you. Strength in your voice. Yeah, maybe I do get a nervousness or a fear of speaking up, speaking out, being seen, being heard. So you don't say anything at all. Now I'm going to ask, why is that? Where does that stem from? And that is something for you to explore, because I feel this is part of something that you've either kept under wraps out of safety, out of fear, out of necessity, but maybe it's no longer required. So it's time for you to step into your strength again, step into your voice, step into confidently sharing your thoughts, feelings, opinions. That could be a very scary thing, especially if in your past you have experienced things that were not safe. So let's get 4 cards, please. Spirit for Soul Path 2 regarding what lies in their shadow. And even advice on how to move through it, how to bring it to the surface. 3 more, please. Thank you. 1 more. 1 more, please, Spirit. Okay. Oh, and there's the moon. All right, we have the 10 of Swords in reverse. We have the 3 of Cups in the upright. We have the 2 of Wands in reverse. And the 8 of Swords in the upright. So I feel like you've been feeling like you've been held back a little. The moon is in the reverse on the underside of the deck. And the underside of the deck can speak to what's hidden. Hidden influences, subconscious thoughts or feelings. I do feel like you're at this point in time where you're stepping out of illusion. You're starting to realize that maybe what you believed about yourself is not true. And what's interesting is truth was part of Soul Path 1, and it has come up in a lot of readings this month. Ace of Swords, coming into your truth, stepping into your truth. I feel like you have moved through a very difficult and painful time in the past, which may have suppressed your feelings to a degree where you couldn't be your authentic self or be your best self. And again, I will call you to explore that. And the moon can speak to, when it's in the upright, questioning everything, because the moon is essentially an illusion of it having light. It actually doesn't have any light. It doesn't project any light. It is a reflection of the sun on its surface. So the illusion is that it lights up the night sky, but not by its own light. It is a reflection of the sun. And also, we've got this transformation of moving from one part of the landscape to another. We're following a new path. We're challenging what we believe, what we have been maybe even programmed to believe through society, through parents, through friendships, through things that we've understood about our past, about life. So there is these programmed or subconscious beliefs that are rubbing up against our intuition. It's causing this illusionary period of questioning everything. I feel this, but I've been told this, or this is what I understand. So it's kind of that tension between the two. And you moving intuitively through this space, which is very dark. It can be very confusing. It can be very mysterious. However, a lot of things can come out of this phase of darkness. We see things in a different light, in a different way. We see growth because we're starting to question things and start to have a new understanding about things. So this could be something that you have avoided because it is in the reverse, or it could be something that you're coming out of and you have a new understanding about something, a new truth about something. You now have a foundation of new beliefs, thoughts, and feelings that you didn't have before, and they are more empowering. They are of a higher power, maybe even a higher self. But what I'm seeing here in the main reading is we have now, this could go two ways. So there could be two messages here. There could be somebody in your network of people around you that maybe has been quite hurtful or painful for you to be connected to, but there's a resistance to you stepping away from it. Again, that could be fear. That could be because you don't want to hurt somebody, you don't want to hurt yourself. But I feel like there's a connection here that has kind of reached its natural end. But there is an avoidance to having that come to an end. So my question for you here is, if this resonates, then why? And only you can answer that. I can't answer that. But I don't feel, just based on what the cards are showing me, I don't feel like this was a very positive connection. There could have been a lot of things that were said that really hurt you. This feels like, the Ten of Swords always feels like death by 1,000 cuts. So there's a participation that happened, and there was a hope that it might get better, but it just got worse. And maybe your friends can help you offer insight to whatever this Ten of Swords is, this painful end of sorts that maybe you're having a hard time moving on from. So maybe it's already ended, but you're having difficulty moving on from. And maybe you fear talking about it because you don't want to burden your friends. Maybe you're having a hard time. Maybe you've internalized a lot of things. You don't want to speak up. You don't want to talk about it. Maybe there's a lot of shame. But that shame about that ending is preventing you from planning your future and is keeping you stuck in a place of limiting beliefs. So I'm almost wondering if the moon and this Ten of Swords are somehow connected to where there is, you're stuck in fully letting this thing go, which is preventing you from going through the discomfort of the dark night of the soul, where you're questioning things about yourself, questioning who you are, what you believe, what you want. Is this my life? How do I change it? How do I do differently? And again, this Three of Cups can either be connected to this Ten of Swords, or this could be a bit of a saving grace, where your friendships and those soul families could be what gets you through this and helps you see something differently. Helps you have a safe space to talk about it without judgment. And maybe that's what you need to step into your strength, is a safe, loving space for you to talk without judgment, for you to talk without having somebody try to fix or change or help, unless you ask, of course. But I feel like the questions that you are having and the difficulty of whatever this ending is that you're having a tough time letting go of, I feel it might have to do with about yourself in this situation. Letting this thing go officially might mean something for you, and it might not be something that you want to face. So, for example, coming to some kind of acceptance or truth about this ending may mean that you are unlovable, or that you are wrong, or that there's some shame coming up here. So shame or guilt could be part of this, but I feel it's Spirit's kind of encouraging you to ask the tough questions, to get into the discomfort of communicating how you feel, communicating what you think, whether that be in a safe space with somebody else that you trust, or even with yourself. Explore this a little, because you might be wanting to move on from it and plan something for your future. To look out on the horizon and see something different, but you can't see different. You can't see what's next. And that's okay, but I feel like you're stuck and you're not moving at all. So it would be one thing if you're kind of moving one foot at a time and just kind of, I'm going to do this and see how it goes, and I'm going to try that and see how it goes, and put one foot in front of the other. But I feel like with the Two of Wands in reverse and the Eight of Swords, it's like you're not moving at all. Like, I don't want to even look at the future. So there's almost this, I want to say blinders, but there's a blindfold on this person. I don't want to, or maybe you don't know how to look beyond whatever this Ten of Swords is, or whatever this dark night of the soul, or this moon has to do with, whatever this confusion is. And I think that is partly what's preventing you from moving forward, is maybe there's an avoidance to the discomfort of looking at some kind of painful end that I feel really hurt you on a number of levels. Again, death by 1,000 cuts. But it's now time to take that strength back. Do not let this impact your future. And I do feel, and with all of my readings, I'm speaking to those who have choice. And so, are you going to move through this and find ways to figure this out? Or are you going to let it stop you in your tracks and prevent you from moving on, keeping you stuck? I feel like you have a lot of strength, though, and I don't think you see it. I think this Ten of Swords situation was a very painful experience that took your power and made you feel like you didn't have any. But it's time to claim that. It's time to claim it back. And underneath the moon, we have the Death card. And that is that slow and steady transformation. This transformation with the Death doesn't happen overnight like it does with the Tower, where everything gets wiped out so that you can start building anew. This is a slow decay of something, which I feel like this might have been this Ten of Swords. This slow decay of, I want to say, the connection, if you were in a connection with somebody, or the situation, but it could also be a slow decay of your confidence, strength, your positive beliefs about yourself. So I feel that needs to be claimed back, and to not lean your own truth on this experience, because I feel it was a very unique experience and a very difficult experience. So Ten of Swords in the reverse. And we have the Empress in the reverse position, which is, there's a sense of maybe impatience, of maybe you have this feeling of, yeah, I gotta fix this, or I gotta think differently, or get over it. Or I also think needs to be a little bit of ease as well in this. Even though at the beginning it's, I was kind of saying this Ten of Swords needs to be moved on from. However, because the Empress came out, I think there needs to be a little bit of patience here with yourself and the situation and how you're moving through it, if at all, and what that means and what you want it to mean. But it's definitely it may have prevented you from giving you what you needed and fostering the things or nurturing the things that you wanted to see in your life. The Empress is a very mothering, nurturing energy. It's very abundant energy because she's taking the seed and she's growing it, she's nurturing it so that it comes to fruition at some point in the future. But this really, I feel like the situation really stopped you in your tracks a little bit. So right now, in this moment, we need to remove the shame and guilt and replace it with love, self-love, self-compassion, self-forgiveness. Three of Cups. And if that's difficult for you to do, which it can be, is there somebody or people, again coming back to this Three of Cups, that you can lean on, that you can speak to? Because the throat chakra is all about communication, is there somebody that you can talk to? That may be friends, maybe networks, but it could also be support groups or therapists or counselors, somebody who has experience in this. And we have Five of Pentacles, clarifying the Three of Cups. I feel you were kind of, this whole thing I feel is connected. This connection is very strong now. Because the Five of Pentacles is this energy of you being left out in the cold, isolated, being in a little bit of a lack mindset. But I don't feel you did this on your own. I feel like the external circumstances and the people that you surrounded yourself with, maybe unintentionally, or who you found yourself among, was getting you into this mindset. There could be some financial issues that are tied to this as well. That could have to do with that mindset, but it could also have to do with the people or circumstances that you found yourself in. And maybe you can't attach yourself from this particular thing. But I don't feel it was a very positive experience. Let's look at the Two of Wands in reverse and see what that's about. We have the Lovers. So the Lovers is about choice. And I'll come back to that, where this is all about choice and deciding to stay here or to move on from. Now, that's easier said than done in a lot of situations, but it's about becoming conscious of how we're staying stuck in this. So are we no longer caring about what we do, what experiences we have, who we connect with as friends? Are we no longer participating in our life or having fun in our life? Are we not having experiences? Are we not asking for the promotion? Are we not getting a better job or a different job because we feel worthless, or we feel like we don't have value or skills, or we're not good enough? I feel like there are bigger things for you here, but this situation has really pinned you to the ground. So it's, am I going to believe this about myself, or can I choose differently? Can I look at situations in my past where this wasn't true? And how do I change that narrative? If I want to do something, then what are the things in my mind and in my soul and my belief system that is preventing me from getting there? What are the choices that I'm making? Because right now I feel you're not making choice out of fear. So that could be, what are the fears that are holding me back from making choices that are aligned with the things, the people, and the experiences that I truly love? maybe exploring that a little bit. The Lovers is not just about those loving connections that we have with a romantic partner. It is about the loving connection we have with ourselves as well. That subconscious and the conscious, having an understanding there, as well as our divine masculine and our divine feminine. Are we giving and not receiving? And when we're receiving, what is it that we are open to receiving? What kind of maybe communication, or what are those things that we are willing to tolerate from others when it comes to the things that are said to us? What are we going to draw a line in the sand for? And what things are we going to lovingly accept? Those compliments, the gifts, the loving energy, the physical touch, the hugs. So looking at that as well and bringing that into balance, because maybe we've given too much to something that didn't deserve our attention or our love. So coming back to that choice of, I'm no longer going to invest my time in people that don't value my time or respect me or give me courtesies that I give to others so willingly. And then figuring out what that looks like in reality and what those boundaries are. 8 of Swords. And why is this important to not stay stuck and be hindered by our past? Is because it might not just be healthy, or it might not be healthy for us, but it really robs us of our future. It robs us of our experiences and the people that we could potentially meet that could really fill us up and offer us really exciting, happy experiences. It sets a limit on where we can go in life. And so now it's time to open up to those possibilities. But realizing and coming to understanding where I lost my strength along the way, where I lost my confidence, and how I can reprogram or transmute that negative stuff into something that is empowering and going to feed my future rather than hinder it. Death card in reverse, it's coming back again. So, but it's in the reverse, so I feel like this is definitely something that needs to come to an end, whatever this cycle has been for you. But again, there is possibly a resistance to it. And maybe there's good reason for that. I feel there's a lot of fear, shame, and guilt coming through. So fear, shame, and guilt might be some things to explore. And that fear, guilt, and shame is putting a lot of limitations on what you can do in this life and what you are capable of. I feel like there's so much more for you to explore and experience. But I don't feel like this experience really had a positive effect on how you think of yourself. And that might be a good place to start. And I'll give you a few questions. If I haven't already given you some questions, I'll give you a few more. You're welcome to write these down. Where am I speaking unkindly to myself? And where in my past have I experienced this before? What unhealthy connections do I know need to end, but I am afraid to end them? And why? How can I make new choices based from a place of strength, confidence, and self-worth? And I'll give you a bonus question. What feelings, thoughts, or opinions do I need to communicate with others that will help me foster stronger connections? And where do I fear communicating with others, and why? So let's get the final 2 oracle messages for you to end your reading. But I do think communication, or maybe suppression of the situation or the things that you're feeling, where the guilt or the shame is part of that shadow side. 2 cards, please, for Soul Path 2. One more. Ooh, I'm just having a quick peek at this card. Surrendering to the journey. Surrendering may not be what you think. Surrendering is not giving up. Surrendering to the process. And that could be, that's pretty big message considering we've got the 10 of Swords in reverse and the Moon in reverse, which we talked about it being resisted. I feel like that was trying to come up. Yeah. Speaking of the Moon, I feel like Spirit is encouraging you to go into the darkness with a little playful energy and curiosity, not fear. So the moon, the darkness of the moon can be a scary place because we can't see where we're going and we don't know how things are going to change on the other side of it and we don't know what we're going to uncover. But I feel like if we go through this experience with curiosity and I wonder what I can uncover, I wonder what can be revealed, rather than resisting it and being fearful of it, I feel like you'll find it a little bit easier. So release control and surrendering to the journey. So again, talking about that surrender, not surrendering to the fight, but surrendering to the ego's way of how we feel it needs to work out or how we feel it should look. Because we have a major arcana, this is the Moon, and we've got the Death card and the Empress. We've got a few major arcanas here. So this is energy that we have to move through for our spiritual and personal growth, whether we like it or not. So we can only resist it so long before it becomes so much of a burden and a hindrance on our life that we hit rock bottom and we have no other choice but to move through it. So I feel like the part of this is to journey by moonlight and surrender to the process, to have a destination of let's get this figured out, but I'm going to let go of what I thought it should look like, what I thought it should be, what I think the results need to be, or so taking your hands off the wheel a little bit, releasing a little bit of control, and knowing and trusting in your resilience, trusting in the process of moving through this. Trusting in your strength and your courage, and believe that there's something better on the other side of it once there's an official release, that you can then be freed up and you can move away from this energy finally, rather than having you tethered to it and having it affect your future. Because whatever this is, I feel like it's no longer in your life, but there's still an attachment to it. And I feel like there needs to be an official ribbon cutting ceremony here where you're letting it go and you're surrendering to what's next, to be open to the possibilities, the beautiful magical possibilities. Dance in the discomfort. Forgiving yourself is really going to help you move into a place that has a lot more light and a lot more freedom. So this is what I have for you, Soul Path 2. I hope you found some clarity and guidance today. If you would like a personal reading, you can find the link for that in the description. And with gratitude, I'm sending you my love, and we'll see you in your next reading. Hello, Pal 3. Welcome to your reading. So you chose Face Your Fears with the Caribbean Calcite. And I must say, the first 2 piles have been quite revealing, a little bit heavy. So I have a feeling that theme will continue just based on what we're talking about today and the theme. So I feel like you are being asked to stand on your own 2 feet at the moment, or to step into your own direction. Face the discomfort. You're in a period of soul growth, so whatever is challenging you right now is something you need in order to evolve. It may be difficult or hard to believe that something better is on the other side of that, so I feel like kindness, compassion for self is going to be super important. But I feel like this is happening for your highest good. And when we step out of that comfort zone, expansion happens. That's where life happens, is when we step outside of that comfort zone, we get exposed to new experiences, and our strength is tested, our discernment is tested. And from the mistakes that we might make in that place of discomfort is how we learn, how we grow, how we develop, and how we understand ourselves a little bit more. So there are lessons here in facing your fears. And you might feel a little bit alone, but you're not. On the other side of this, you're going to be a changed person, maybe even a completely different person. There are going to be improvements. You may even need to find someone to share your situation with. Be kind to yourself and don't resist the changes that might be happening right now. And for some reason, I'm hearing a song. There might be some lyrics in here. Don't fear the reaper? So I'm getting the death card with that, where there's some things that are shifting and changing and ending in your life. And so we have to, there's a feeling that your security is being threatened in a way. All of these things that you were attached to that felt secure and comfortable and safe are now being released, and you are feeling like a little bit on your own. And now it's time to exercise the things that you've learned, to do things that you've never done before. It can be a very exciting thing, but it's all on how you perceive it. If you fear it, then it might be a little more difficult. If you get curious about it and face the fear with strength and courage and kindness, and do things one step at a time, and that curiosity, that playful curiosity, can help. Instead of it being, I'm scared, we turn it into, I wonder. I wonder what's going to happen. I wonder what the possibilities are. Yeah, big energy here. We've got the Destiny card with the number 10, and it's the Wheel of Fortune, which is a major arcana. And that major arcana can speak to changes, whether we like it or not. And change is always a constant thing. Nothing is still. Even in our bodies, when our body's still in meditation, our blood is moving. We are breathing in and out. So technically, nothing in this world is still. So the wheel is constantly changing for us, both good and bad polarities. So the trick to the wheel and changes in life is to find our center, so that we're not so affected by the changes. Now that might not be possible, especially when a lot of things are changing in our life. The foundations of our life are being a little bit shaken up. We are making new choices, which then affects our three-dimensional world. And we are not forced, but we are needing to face those fears that we didn't want to face, because we knew it would be challenging or difficult or scary. But that's okay. I feel like letting that be okay needs to be part of this process. So I feel like part of your shadow, or what lies in your outside of your awareness, is that things are changing and you can't control it. So are you in a place where you are trying to control the change? You are trying to mitigate the damage. And that might be okay, but if you're trying to put something back in the box, that's another story. It's one thing to manage the change and go with the ebbs and flows and navigate it as best we can and adjust. But it's another thing if we're trying to kind of contain it in the way that it once was. So that could be part of the message here is, where are you nervous about facing your fears, and why? Why do you fear change? Do you get excited by change? Or are you fearful of change? Why is that? How can you have a better relationship with change? Or at least find ways to find your center during times of change? That could be a practice that you start implementing, where it's breath work. It could be yoga. It could be swimming. It could be hiking. It could be any number of things relating to being in the body rather than the mind, and bringing mindfulness in to observe our thoughts, observe our feelings. Because there could be something underlying that fear that is preventing you from really being friends with it, or at least not having anxiety about that fear. Maybe even if you are nervous or fearful about chasing your destiny, or maybe you have questions about not knowing what your destiny is, so there's fear in that. So let's get some cards and see what else they have to say. 4 cards, please, for Soul Path 3. What lies in the shadows? Out of their awareness. What's hidden? Thank you. More major arcana energy here. And many cards. I'm just going to take the one that flipped out. Another major arcana. And one more. Okay. I was expecting another major arcana here. Okay, so we have the Hanged Man in reverse. The Devil in the, I think it was in the upright. The Chariot in the upright. And the 6 of Cups in the upright. With the 5 of Wands in reverse. So I get definitely a lot of control energy here. The Chariot can speak to keeping things in you run a very tight ship, but that could be also very restricting as well. It's one thing to keep things managed and control in a way that makes us feel safe and secure and comforted, but it's another thing where it becomes so rigid that nothing can change or be out of place, because it rattles us so much that it creates anxiety and stress and panic. So that could be something to note there. Now, let's just talk about the bottom of the deck with the 5 of Wands in reverse. This can be tensions or disagreements with others, but it can also be accepting other people's differences, or maybe accepting the differences within yourself. Accepting that certain outcomes will be different than you expected. I feel like there's a lot of expectations here almost. I also get conflict avoidance, whether that is with self or with others. And that could be driven by some kind of fear here. And maybe you have some awareness of this already. Could be something from your past. Some of the fears of change, fears of things being different than what you expected. Those shoulds. I feel like there might be a lot of shoulds on your mind. I should do this, I should do that. And there's almost a resistance to surrendering to this process, or sacrificing what you know. Or maybe you have gone through the sacrifice already and you've come to some kind of enlightenment about it. But this Hanged Man in reverse, he puts himself in this position so that he can get a different take on things, he can get a different perspective on things. And he's surrendering to the idea of what others think, what others believe. He doesn't care. He's putting himself in this situation because he's doing this for his own good. Even though it might look strange, it might look uncomfortable, maybe it is uncomfortable, but his goal is enlightenment. And so I almost wonder if you're nervous about change, you're nervous about facing your fears because you're afraid of how that might make you look to others. That could be for some of you. Others of you, you could already have gone through this enlightenment phase where you have sacrificed and surrendered and spent some time away from a specific situation so that you can understand it better on a deeper level. But doing things differently, I think, is part of the key to this. You have to be willing to do things differently and get out of that comfort zone that I feel you've become really accustomed to. And I think it has to do with something from your past. Maybe something from your past made you feel unsettled in a way. So you feel like you have to make sure that everything is in order in the perfect way at the perfect time. in order for you to find success or feel safe and comfortable. But I feel the universe is really challenging you on that. It's challenging you to move ahead without expecting certain things to be a certain way, without the shoulds that you're carrying around. I think all of that has to go out the window. And I think there's good reason for that. This is not a judgment or to be something to be shameful about. This is all bringing awareness too, so that you are empowered with choice and empowered to not let this hinder your progress, but to fuel it. Now, there could be some feelings you have about yourself or some beliefs about, if I let go of control or if I stop participating in this thing, that it'll all fall apart, or it's all going to go sideways, or I won't see the results that I'm looking for, or I won't progress. But I feel if you have a little bit, we talked about that, did we talk about that? Maybe, with the face your fears at the beginning there, we talked about having a little bit of curiosity. And the Six of Cups can be that playful energy, maybe even a little bit of inner child healing, because maybe this inner child is fearful. Maybe it's not the adult, it's the adult trying to protect the inner child. So that's definitely something to look at. And if for those of you who are worried about what others think, then there could be some questions of why. And you could go on a little exploration on how to let go of the idea of having everybody like you or having everybody see you in a certain way. I feel like there could be some here that have control over how people perceive them. And that's such an exhaustive energy, because we cannot control what others think. We cannot control what others feel. We can only do our best to live in our own integrity, our own authenticity, in our own highest good, for our own highest good. And we have to let the rest of it go. Again, I should be this, I should do that, I should go here, I should go there. I have to make sure to do this, this, and this so that person doesn't see me in a certain way. This is time to let that go, or to at least explore, if this is resonating, why that is, where it stems from, and how to embrace the changes that I feel the universe is challenging you to make. To surrender to the journey, not necessarily to the process. Give the process up. Give up the hows. Have a why in mind. I want to do this because I want to get to this destination. But let go of the timing. Let go of the actual how to get there. Just continue to focus on what can I do in this moment to foster getting to that destination. And again, that with the balance of the Chariot here and that forward movement, that's how you do that. And not be distracted by things from your past, or those behaviors or thoughts or things that kind of pull you back into the past of maybe an old you, or maybe you in an old scenario or situation. This is bringing awareness to, okay, I have this limiting belief or this thought about myself or this feeling I have about myself. And so how can I bring that to the surface a little and understand it a bit more? Almost, I want to say become friends with it, but again, getting curious about it. What do you have to teach me? What do you have to share? What lessons are you here to help me understand a little bit better? And by doing that, that is when that control or that forward movement happens towards your destination, is that you're thinking about what you can do within self, and you're letting go of the external processes of I have to do this and I have to go here and I have to make sure that person is, whatever, so that I can be in the right place at the right time. Trying to control the external circumstances is really exhausting. And there's so many major arcanas here. The universe is here to tell you that, this is not in your control. This is a challenge for you to let go of that control now. And to understand that a bit better. Coming back to controlling your own thoughts, your own feelings, your own beliefs, your own actions in this very moment. So mindfulness, coming back in to this moment. What am I participating in this moment? What are the decisions that I'm making, the choices that I'm making? am I doing it in my highest good to get to a specific destination or to achieve a certain goal? Or am I doing it because I'm worried about what people will think, or I'm trying to avoid conflict? Okay, so let us get into clarifiers now. Hanged Man in reverse. Page of Swords. So because this isn't in reverse, I do feel like to some degree you have some awareness or knowing about this situation or this kind of what you're working through, what you're working with, because this Page of Swords is very new energy. They're very fresh. They are open to learning new things. That could be some advice for you, is to be open to learning new things, to be willing to make some mistakes, to be imperfect, to start understanding things in a way that you can start using that sword in a way to cut things out that you don't need. With knowledge comes great power, and with great power comes great responsibility. So eventually there will be that responsibility to take what you've learned and put it into action, and being discerning, being really masterful about making decisions that are aligned to your highest good, that are aligned with where you want to go, that are aligned with how you want to feel and what you want to think, what you want to believe. But first, it's understanding, it's learning, it's having that base knowledge. And I think you're coming into that. The High Priestess in the reverse position. So intuition might have something to do with this, or a lack of intuition. The High Priestess is somebody who takes what is underneath the veil or beyond the veil that sits within our subconscious and brings it to light. And that is working with our own intuition, our own understanding, or our own intuitive knowledge, and moving from that place rather than from what we think it should be, what we think we should do, based on other people's opinions or thoughts or beliefs about us. What is it that we want? What is our intuition telling us to do? And what is our intuition telling us about the situation of where we are and the changes that we might be experiencing? How can we better tap into that intuition and maybe see both sides, or come to some kind of balance of intuition and logic? But it has to be our own. It can't be something in the external. This has to be from within. So I feel like there might be a little bit of a disconnection with your intuition, because there's been so much focus on keeping things going in the way that they have. Even though they might not be ideal or might not be healthy, you may have some inclination of this, but you might not know how to fix it. And that's totally okay. That is what these experiences help us uncover. But we have to be willing to face it and to stop doing the things that are no longer working. And that might be a difficult thing. But those things are part of our growth. Chariot in the upright. Chariot in the upright. And also trusting your intuition, I feel, is a big thing here too. Do you lack a trust in your intuition, and why? Chariot, thank you. And the Lovers in reverse. So what's interesting is that we have the Chariot, which has two sides to this Chariot. We've got the dark side and the light side, the subconscious and the conscious, the divine masculine and the divine feminine. We also have that in the Lovers as well. It can be seen as the choices that we make that are aligned with the thing that we love, whether that be a person, whether that be a goal that we're trying to achieve, or the things that we really find joyful in our lives, the things that we love. Are we prioritizing those things? Or are we forging ahead without a second thought? And again, coming back to that divine masculine and feminine, because it's in the reverse, I feel like that might be a little offset. You might be driving ahead without understanding your purpose or your mission or your whys of why you're doing something. So maybe the subconscious thoughts or feelings that you have about yourself, maybe stemming from your past, are putting you in a direction that is not where you want to go. So the question is, what are the choices that are making me feel off balance or off course? And how can I correct that? This feels like a course correction a little bit. And because it's beside the High Priestess, I almost wonder if that too, that duality is coming to the forefront once again, where there's either an avoidance or a disconnection from the intuition and the things that you love. But why, is my question for you. What is it that you're feeding or that you're focused on that is not connected to your intuition or the thing that you love, or the things that you find joyful and pleasurable, and that makes you feel really connected to self? Maybe there's a lack of trust within yourself and trust in your intuition, as well as a lack of self-love. Maybe you don't have a high view of yourself. It's for some, not others, but something to ask or look into. We are talking about the shadow side here. So 6 of Cups, the Knight of Cups in reverse. So something in your past regarding a withdrawal of an offer, possibly maybe has to do with abandonment in your past. Could have been quite sudden. It's like somebody gave you an offer, gave you a gift, a relationship, and then it was taken away. Or maybe you retracted from this relationship. Maybe there was some tension, or maybe there was an avoidance of conflict. So because of that avoidance of conflict, an avoidance to talking about the difficult things, it just got to a point where there was that no discussing could have fixed it. Interesting. So that could have also been a part of this equation to some degree. But it's also taking the rose-colored glasses off and seeing reality of the situation and coming to almost a radical acceptance has been a word that has come up in all 3. There's a radical acceptance of where you're at and what happened in the past, and an acceptance of differences between your conscious and your subconscious, or even people in your life, whether now or in the past. But there's an acceptance of differences with the 5 of Wands in reverse. And maybe it has been difficult to accept your differences. Maybe your beliefs are not aligned with your actions or vice versa. So I feel like you can't be too hard on yourself, because when we don't understand something, we can't possibly know how to move away from it or move out of it or change it or heal it or fix it. So you don't know what you don't know. But now that you're coming into this idea of knowing, what will you do with that information, and how will you make new choices? How will you move through this? How will you navigate through this? So with all the piles, I've been asking them questions. You're welcome to write them down and do a little bit of exploration on your own. Where am I being challenged to face my fears? And am I resisting this? If so, why? Where do I feel like if I don't have control, everything will stop, fall apart, or I won't progress in life? Is this true? And why do I feel this way? Where am I disconnecting myself or being disconnected from my intuition and loving myself? And how can I foster my intuition or help trust my intuition more and offer myself more self-love? If I didn't care what people thought, would I do differently? How can I foster my intuitive insights and actions a little more? How can I take small steps to releasing the fear of what others think of me? So let's get some cards to end your reading now. One more for Soul Path 3, please. One more for Soul Path 3. One more. Yes. Okay, so we have Wandering Path, enjoy the journey. And this is that curious energy of not worrying about having too much control of kind of the how you get there. Have a direction in mind, look at a map, but in terms of how fast, how slow, and trying to figure out the most efficient way to get there, there's a sense of release here, of stepping into the adventure, of stepping into that unknown a little bit. Wander, see what you come across. And that's what that Page of Swords energy is, that curiosity. That Six of Cups energy is that playfulness. We've got a fox here who's very playful, very curious, but is also very adaptable. So I feel like that's really part of the message here. And also we have a compass. So yes, we might have a plan. Yes, we can use our inner compass, our inner guide, to guide us along the way and those choices that we make in the day-to-day, being very mindful of that, but letting go of all of the details and only focusing on what it is that we can control rather than all of the external stuff. Traveling lightly, simplify your life. So both of these things, both of these cards speak to travel, wandering the path, travel lightly. So release the burdens that you have no control over. I feel like that's part of the shadow lesson, if we wanted to call it that, is to simplify what it is that you're doing rather than, and I'm just going to keep coming back to that message, to control every single little piece and detail of this journey or this process, to let go a little. What are those things that you can let go of a little bit at a time? And come back to those things that, okay, what is the next best step in where I want to go? Maybe even assessing where I want to go and why. Figure out your purpose. Figure out this higher calling that you might be called to. And both of these are like facing your fears of not knowing all of those details, but understanding that you do have an intuition about what you're doing and where you're going and why. So it's all about letting kind of destiny take the wheel. Let the universe take the wheel. Uncover, explore, adventure, wander, travel. Release the burdens and the responsibilities that are not yours. Release the control that you really don't have control over. And come back to controlling what you can. So this is what I have for you, Soul Path 3. I hope you found some clarity and guidance today. If you would like a personal reading, you can find the link for that in the description. And with gratitude, I'm sending you my love, and we'll see you in your next reading.